A deal on Dickens, who could resist? A stack of Austen, warmly kissed. Golden Age crime tales twist and turn, every page a treasure to learn. Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea, reading always feels so free.
Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. I ended my last video with this book. It was a video on the Inklings, and I chose to end with this book because it was a good segue. This book is Second Friends, C.S. Lewis and Ronald Knox in conversation. So Lewis is of the Inklings, Ronald Knox is of the Detection Club, which these are the books that I'm going to talk about today. Books that are Detection Club books or Detection Club adjacent books. Another connection between the Inklings and the Detection Club is Dorothy L. Sayers, who was Inklings adjacent and a member of the Detection Club. So I'm going to return this back down to my Inklings books. That fell. Anyway. Before I go on to the book haul for Detection Club, this is a Detection Club adjacent book that I'm currently reading. It is The Gentle Art of Murder, the detective fiction of Agatha Christie. And I am enjoying this. I think one of my favorite quotes in here has to be one that I absolutely agree with in my own writing and in my reading. And this is by Christie herself. Okay, so let's see. Okay, here we go. So it mentions that Christie's favorite setting is the country house, and she's been criticized for repeating it so often. Her answer to such criticisms was firm. So this is the Christie quote. But the one thing that infuriates me is when people complain that I always set my books in country houses. You have to be concerned with a house, with where people live. You can make it a hotel or a train or a pub, but it's got to be where people are brought together. And I think it must be a background that readers will recognize because explanations are so boring. If you set a detective story in, say, a laboratory, I don't think people will enjoy it so much. No, a country house is obviously the best. And I just love her explanations are so boring. Because, yeah, kind of. She would do just what was necessary to set the scene, but the psychology of the characters and the psychology of the murder was what was front and center for her. And yeah, so definitely a writer after my own heart with, descriptions are boring. Explanations are boring, excuse me. So yes, like I said, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm about 38 pages through this, 39 pages. I've been taking my time with it. It's not like this is set for any long. So this is just because I wanted to read a book on literature. I enjoy books that look at literature critically. So I was due to read one. So there's that one. I want to put that with the books that I, am currently reading or have planned to read. So some other Detection Club books. I've been wanting to read John Dixon Carr for a while. I think this was a Thrift Books free book for me. And this is Castle Skull. I believe it is his first book, I want to say. So I look forward to reading this one. I read the first couple pages, but I had a few other books I needed to finish before the end of the month when I had started it. So I was like, I'll read this when I can enjoy it. Then, let me just grab the Dorothy L. Sayers at once. There it is. This one is Dorothy L. Sayers' Lord Peter, the complete Lord Peter Whimsy story. So these are the short stories. It was too much to hope that it'd be all the Lord Peter Whimsy books. And you have to be careful when you, just like with Agatha Christie, with Dorothy L. Sayers, you have to be careful when you pick up books with her name on it, because now there is a current day author who is writing the Lord Peter Whimsy character, just like there's a modern day author writing Hercule Poirot. And if you don't look carefully, you might mistaken the book for one of the original author's books, because the newer author puts, like in this case, Dorothy L. Sayers' name large, and then somewhere else on the page, on the cover, there will be the current day author's name. So if you're not aware that either Dorothy L. Sayers or Agatha Christie have someone else putting their names on covers and writing their characters, then someone might go, oh, there's an Agatha Christie, there's a Dorothy L. Sayers I haven't read yet. And they will be surprised when it's not what they're expecting. I'm not a huge fan of people writing other people's characters. I'm pretty picky about that, so I have no interest in reading the newer renditions of those characters. But these are Whimsy's short stories. I have read both of these. These are Cloud of Witness and Unpleasantness at the Bologna Club. And this one here, for some reason, I'm not sure why this one wasn't included in the set, because this one slides in between those two stories. This is Unnatural Death. And I guess when I had read this one, I thought I had owned it on Kindle, but I didn't. I had borrowed it through like Amazon Prime or something like that. So it wasn't mine, and I've only read it once, and I wanted to read it again. So, and I've been moving away from Kindle as much as possible. I prefer physical books. If I must, I'll read it digitally. But if I think it's a book I'm going to keep, I generally prefer to read it physically. Although the text is stupid small on this. I think it's better on, yeah, it's better on this one. So those are the Dorothy L. Sayers ones. Let me put these over here. Okay, I know I just said that I don't like when authors write other authors' characters. For whatever reason, I've been looking for a hokey Sherlock Holmes, not spin-off, but just, I forget what they called it during the month where they were reading all the Holmes books, but it was like pastiche, I think is what they called it. The books where you have other people writing Holmes, like you'll have like the Holmes, Jack the Ripper's a common one. I've seen one that's Dr. Jekyll and Sherlock Holmes. That one I couldn't find for within the price that I wanted it. Then I have a Father Brown and Sherlock Holmes, which it's not the best writing, but it's fun. This one is The Further Adventures of Sherlock Holmes after Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, collected and introduced by Richard Lancelyn Green. What sealed the deal for me, first of all, it's a free book. And then second of all, you have Father Ronald Knox of the Detection Club as one of the contributors. And I remember hearing that he was a really huge Sherlock Holmes fan. And I thought I had heard that he had done some Holmes-related writing. So when I saw this, I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. If it's terrible, I'll pass it on to my mom, let her have a laugh and read it first, and then I'll just, pass it along to someone else. But I couldn't resist, not with Father Knox's name attached to it as well. And like I said, it really didn't cost me anything. It cost me shipping. And from thrift books, that really is not much of anything. Okay, then going on. Actually, this still falls into this moves away from the mystery idea, but this is G.K. Chesterton, who was the president of the Detection Club for a while, at least at the beginning. So he wrote Father Brown, and he also wrote The Everlasting Man. So this is, I guess, a guide to his masterpiece. I haven't actually read this, and I know almost nothing about it, but it's supposed to guide me through it. So, Introduction, Notes, and Commentary by Dale Alquist, and it's put out by Word on Fire. So I will eventually end up reading this. You can't tell, but this, I love it when they have on dust jackets where you can actually, they've raised the lines on the art a little bit, so you can actually like feel the waves in his hair and the raising of like his lapel and a little bit of the texture on his jacket. So the small things, right? And then this came with that. It's Your Life is a Story, G.K. Chesterton and the Paradox of Freedom, by the same, well, no, it's not, I was going to say it's by the same author who did this one here, like did notes in this one here, but no, that's this guy, that guy did the foreword on this one. So, again, don't know a whole lot about this. I know it's Chesterton related. I will find out, I guess, when I read it. I believe that my mom found that one for a deal, which is she picked up one for herself and one for me. We do that a lot for each other. We will be like, oh, I want X book. If I pick X book up for her as well, then we'll be reading it together. That's not that bad, right? So if we do that, we've been doing that a lot lately. Then, oh, I had read on Kindle Green for Danger, and I'd had it for a while, but I noticed there were typos and stuff in my Kindle edition, and also at one point it skipped information. Like, I don't know what was supposed to be there, so I don't know how much was missing in the story. It was just really odd. So I just decided, okay, when I reread it, I'll reread it in the physical form, and then I'll be sure that nothing's missing or the type isn't messed up and all that. Besides, I did enjoy this. And this is by Christiana Brand, the first Christiana Brand I've read. I had been intending to read her books for a while. She has some interesting titles. I love the titles of mystery books at this time. They had a lot of clever titles. Then also Death of Jezebel, another Christiana Brand. Both are British Library crime classics, which also fits in with a Storygraph challenge that I've been involved in, where you're trying to read all the different British Library crime classics novels. So then this one, it was really hard to find any of Father Knox's detective books, mystery books, for a decent price. This was the only one I was able to find. Most of them were more expensive than I was willing to pay, which is a shame because I really wanted to read more of his work, and I'm gonna either have to borrow it from the library on Kindle, or just hope that a Kindle edition that I have doesn't have typos like the Christina Brand does. I mean, I've run into really bad typos in Agatha Christie before, and the only reason why I realized it was because I had read the book so many times. And it wasn't like an obvious typo with Christiana Brand where like part of a sentence was missing, or like I's turned into ones, or things like that. For the Agatha Christie, it was subtle, where a word was left out and the person who didn't know the book wouldn't have picked up on it because it wouldn't have made an incomplete sentence, but it did change the meaning of what was being said by the character. It changed it to the exact opposite thing. But because I had read the book, I was aware of that. Other readers who would be experiencing that Christie book for the first time would not be. And that was a version of Tommy and Tuppence. Tommy and Tuppence's first book, The Secret Adversary, that I had on Kindle. So I've been very leery of Kindle books, just in general anyway, even before, Amazon started, making it so you couldn't download your books on your computer. But yeah, I had several experiences where either I would have like gibberish on my Kindle book, they would leave out information. I had that happen with House of Beaufort, where I was trying to read on Kindle and listen to the audiobook, flip back and forth, but I had to switch completely to the audiobook because they left out a huge, like a paragraph, and I couldn't be sure what else they left out. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. This is the only Father Knox book I was able to find, and this is Footsteps at the Lock. I know he has a husband-wife detective team, at least in a couple of his books, but I'm not sure if this is one of them. I want to say he's a husband-wife detective team. Now, I've been wanting to read the Ellery Queen novels. I was hoping to find the first one, but I also was cheap, so I got the one I could get for, I think it was a free book credit again, because when I can, I will take advantage of that. I'm trying to get this off of there. Okay. There we go. Okay, looks like this was a library book. And this is The American Gun Mystery. And Agatha Christie's quoted back here as saying, a new Ellery Queen book has always been something to look forward to. So, look forward to reading this. He was also a member of the Detection Club, which is interesting because this is an American mystery classic. Well, I mean, I guess I want to say that it was John Dixon Carr, who is also American, but he lived in England. Oh, and also, if you're not familiar with John Dixon Carr, he also wrote under Carter Dixon, I believe, was his other name. I haven't read any of his books under that title, under that name either. Now, these are only kind of adjacent to Detection Club, and then I'll be able to end this video. In The Clocks, which was last Hercule Poirot book that I reread, I was having a bad weekend, and I just wasn't feeling well. And I wanted something to read that would be just fun. And for years, if I don't feel well, I turn to an Agatha Christie, because I've read most of all, if not all of them. The only reason why I say most of all is because I'm pretty sure there's still a couple Miss Marples I haven't read yet. But I generally return to a goodie but oldie and oldie but goodie, excuse me, I said that backwards, oldie but goodie. And then I will, usually knock that out in a few hours and have been able to just relax. So I did that with The Clocks. It was on the last day or two of March. And within The Clocks, Poirot is explaining to the narrator character, Colin Lamb, about all the different mystery books he's reading. And he's, touting different ones and different authors. And he mentions how much, how great the Mystery of the Yellow Room is, which I've read, and how great the Leavenworth case is, which I've actually talked about. Actually, I've talked about both of those books on this channel. I've done a review for both of them. And one of the other books that he meant, one of the other characters in this case that he mentioned was Arsène Lupin. And I looked it up, and this is Arsène Lupin, Gentleman Burglar. So I know nothing about this other than the fact that Agatha Christie recommended it through Hercule Poirot. So I will be reading this. It looks like it's mostly short stories. So I don't know if Lupin is like Flambeau in Father Brown, where he's a thief turned detective, or if he is like your antagonist character, you just happen to be following. I know nothing about this. All I know is that it was Agatha Christie put it in Poirot's mouth to recommend this book. So, Christie's had good taste so far in regards to her mysteries, and of course she writes excellent mysteries. So I was like, okay, I will try that then. I can't remember if I did free book credit for this one or not. I got it for a good price, whatever it was. And then this one. This one I got for a steal. I'd already read it, but it was inexpensive and I knew I would probably want to reread it. This is David Suchet, Poirot and Me. He talks about his experience playing Hercule Poirot, and he has where he meets with Christie's daughter, the process of him being chosen to play Poirot, and just the process he went through to really get into character. And I have my issues with the show, the Poirot show. He's not one of the issues. He is an amazing Poirot. He doesn't have any power over how the showrunners choose to change plot points, sometimes including whether or not a character is a murderer, just because. So, I don't watch this show because I know when they've changed things. But even though if I was to watch any of the Poirot stuff, Poirot things on screen, it would be him. Because I know the efforts he went through to embody this character, the respect he had for Christie and her work. And also, I have enjoyed him within the role, even if I haven't always enjoyed what the showrunners have done with it. Last thing I think I watched with him as Poirot is I watched Death on the Nile. They did a decent job. I thought the casting that they did was, pretty good. I liked, they had good casting for Lynette. I can't remember the girl that played Jackie. But I had issues with some of the way they chose to handle some of the side characters. But I also know that I am a purist when it comes to Christie's work, partially because her stuff is so tightly woven that if you change it, it can change things in other ways in the story that I don't think the showrunners always appreciate. So, but I will reread this at some point. I remember it being an enjoyable read. And it goes through some of his other acting jobs. He's a character actor, which also is just generally a more enjoyable thing to read about, I feel, because it's almost like a writer's mindset, because he gets really into the mind of the character. But that's all for this particular video on the Detection Club and Detection Club adjacent books. Hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you for the next video. God bless. Bye.
Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.